Welcome back to another Nano video. Today we're going to be looking at hardware accelerated GPU scheduling, which was introduced via Windows version 2004 and NVIDIA driver version 451.48. Now, hardware accelerated GPU scheduling is part of DirectX 12 Ultimate, which is essentially an upgraded feature set for DirectX 12. So it'll integrate whatever's originally part of DirectX 12, and now they've added some extra features to it and called it DirectX 12 Ultimate. So what exactly is hardware accelerated GPU scheduling? Basically, in Windows previously, or when this setting is turned off, the CPU schedules the work to be sent to the GPU. This is then sent in batches to the GPU via the frame buffer, and this setting, when enabled, allows the GPU to manage the scheduling instead via a scheduler in the GPU itself. So when turned on, NVIDIA has said that this has led and will lead to minor performance improvements and reduced latency while gaming. Now, whether this is true, we'll discover it soon, but this feature is supported as far back as Pascal, so GTX 10 series GPUs, as well as in newer architectures like Turing. Now, the assumption here is that the CPU load is reduced when the GPU handles the scheduling itself, allowing for less input latency and possibly higher performance. Now, the best part of this is that it's system-wide. It works regardless of any API, so whether that's DX11, DX12, DirectX 9, and Vulkan. So we went forward and tested this in some games that are from DirectX 11, DirectX 12, and Vulkan APIs, as well as Times by Extreme, as just sort of a quick short benchmark. Now, we used 4K resolution with ultra settings, and we did this to try and stress the memory of the GPU and the graphics card itself as much as possible, with most games using at least 5 gigabytes of VRAM. So if you're going to see really any difference in VRAM management or scheduling or performance, this would be the scenario where it would not only be the most prominent, but also where it would matter the most. Now, our test rig is equipped with a Core i7 7700K at stock frequency, with a GTX 1080 and 16 gigabytes of 3200 MHz Corsair Vengeance LPX RAM. First up is 3D Mark Times by Extreme, where hardware accelerated GPU scheduling made very little difference to either the CPU or the graphics score. This is really margin of error type of stuff and doesn't really display a massive difference on the GTX 1080. Up next is the Division 2, which again showed not much of a difference between hardware accelerated GPU scheduling being on or off. What I can say is that it did consistently score higher with it on, but as you can see, not by much. In Shadow of the Tomb Raider in DirectX 12, again, there was just really no difference like the Division 2. It did score consistently higher, but not enough to really truly merit a significant difference outside of margin of error. In Gears of War 5, another DirectX 12 game, we have a similar story. Not much of a change and really margin of error stuff here. Doom Eternal is our first Vulkan game, and here we see a significant difference in the 1% lows with hardware accelerated GPU scheduling, giving a small 1 frame per second boost in that area, with the average frame rate staying largely the same. Again, really nothing notable here either. In Far Cry 5, the story was again very similar to the previous titles, but a little bit more like Doom Eternal, with the 1% lows faring 1 frame or so better than when it was turned off. In Rainbow Six Siege, both the average FPS and the 1% lows benefited from hardware accelerated GPU scheduling being turned on, with a 2 to 3% increase in performance. This was probably the largest margin out of all the tests that we had, and really, it's so minuscule that I don't really think it's anything to write home about. Lastly is Red Dead Redemption 2, where we saw again really no significant increase or decrease to performance when it was on or off. From these results, it's clear that this setting probably won't do much or anything for you. I can at least safely say that by turning it on, you're not really going to see a decrease to your performance, at least in the titles that I tested here and with our specific test system. However, I have seen other tests, such as those performed by Gamers Nexus, which have shown that when you turn it on, in some games like Red Dead Redemption 2, you will see actually decreased performance, especially with non-hyper-threaded CPUs. So all in all, I'd say by turning the setting on, it just really doesn't do much. It's not this massive performance boost at all, like some people have said online. It's more like performance is largely the same, whether it's on or off. Lastly, because this feature is brand new, I suppose it does make some sense that there are some bugs, and that's to be expected. So eventually they probably will iron out these bugs or fix them, but just right now I'd say it's really too early to make a definitive conclusion about this setting. It seems though that if you are going to have any option, I would probably keep it off just because it's the most safe bet. You're not really seeing much of any benefit at all when it's on, and you eliminate the possibility of encountering any bugs like Gamers Nexus did. So in future, I think I'd like to retest this, maybe with a higher or a lower core count CPU, maybe a 20 series GPU might change it, or an AMD GPU, and possibly when we have some more DirectX 12 games out there, maybe we'll see more of a difference then. But right now, it just doesn't seem like there's much more than maybe a frame or two at best in the 1% lows. And even that's quite a leap to really say, because performance is largely unchanged across a majority of titles. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider clicking the like button and subscribing to the channel for more videos like this, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.